Hello everyone, my name is Saksham Dikshit and this is my channel Pentest Diaries. Today I'll make another video on the same series of lazy programming series, and this is a 35th video itself, and soon I'll try to conclude this series. So I know so many lectures are coming. I try to conclude it faster, most probably in ASAP. I'll try to conclude this series so that I have prepared more content for it already. So that I'll just try to get it publish it. That's already be present, but it's in a private zone itself. That was the reason it's not visible to you all. But I've already prepared the content for the another series also. So that's already put it on my YouTube channel itself, which is in a private mode. So soon we'll complete this series, and then after that we'll go for some interesting portion other than this programming itself continuously. Okay, I know it. Like we don't want to do the same thing again and again and again. And Python is one of the course which everyone is publishing it. So even if I'll just publishing the new concept over there itself, but it doesn't mean a lot. Like the thing is that everyone having so many lectures present on the YouTube itself. So everyone is looking for different type of content. So I'll definitely make different type of content soon. Okay, so today we'll try to cover the concept of inheritance, single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, and multiple inheritance. Now I will tell you the difference in all the cases. In case of single inheritance, there is a superclass and there is a subclass. So whatever that attribute of the instance of the instance or method itself be present, attribute of the method or the instance is present, that to be get it used inside of the subclass. That's a concept of single inheritance whenever we are using it. If we're talking about the next level, that we call it as a multiple inheritance itself, that in that case itself I can say, in case of multiple inheritance, there we have one superclass. Then after that, we might use two subclass itself, and using that two subclass itself, we'll try to pull out another class which we call it. We can see in our code also, so that we can call it, and that also be, I can say, there are subclass itself, but it's inherit from the subclass itself. So there is one superclass, subclass, two subclass, and then again one class which we call as subclass inherit from the two subclasses itself. That's coming under the category of multiple inheritance. And now we're talking about the multi-level inheritance, where we have the superclass, then we have the another class which we call it a subclass, then we have another subclass. So what the pattern is it? Now on the bottom subclass, we for that class itself, the upper subclass is become a superclass. Now for the upper one superclass subclass itself, the upper one become a superclass. So that is a formatting for it. So for us there are two superclasses, but as we are seeing the flow of the level itself, then definitely I can say that two are looks like a subclass itself. But for a bottom one, the upper class, we call it always as a superclass, and on the top of it, the another class on the top of that class, we call it as a superclass, and the bottom one is a subclass. So the moral of the story is always a bottom class be a subclass, and the top of it we become a superclass for it. Okay, that's coming under the category of multi-level inheritance. Okay, so these are the concepts which I just want to get it covered in that. The code is bit simple, you can able to understand very fast. I just make it very easy for you. I'll read the content so that you can able to understand the concept very well. Today I'm not making a lot of things to be get it presented. It's a single type of code itself. I'll try to run it and make you understand about that. Okay, there's a tweak also, just be with me itself till the end. There is a tweak in case of multi-level which you have to understand. Okay, going further with that, if we're talking about the single inheritance in Python, so single inheritance in Python refers to the concept where a class can inherit attributes and the method from one parent class itself, which we call the parent class, super class, whatever you want to call. We can say that the concept of a superclass and the parent class. In other words, a subclass can have only one superclass. So always the top one is a superclass and the bottom one is a subclass. If we're talking about the example, this we are covering in our code itself when we are seeing the practical section, that, and then I'll just explain you about that. So don't worry about it. Now I'm going to the next section, which is a multiple inheritance. So in case of multiple inheritance, what is the concept? I've already explained you about it. We have the superclass, we have two subclass, and from two subclasses we try to inherit one more subclass which is coming under that bottom of the two subclasses. That's a concept over here itself. So multiple inheritance is a Python refers to the concept where a class can inherit attributes and the methods from more than one parent class. more than one parent class. This allow for more complex classes hierarchies where a subclass can inherit behavior from multiple superclass itself. Okay, so that's a concept. Like of the top one, we call it as a superclass. Whatever the bottom one is always be a subclass. So even we are inheriting from the subclasses, but for the bottom subclass it's always be a superclass. So always having a hierarchy, like a bottom one is a subclass, on the top of it either it's a one or the two classes, we always call it a superclass for the bottom one, and on the top of it if we have one class itself, that is a superclass for both the middle one classes itself. Okay, that's the concept behind it. With the code you are able to understand what I mean by that right now. Now we're talking about the multi-level inheritance in Python itself. So what's the concept behind it? So multi-level inheritance in Python occurs when a class inherit from another class, and then that subclass inherit from the another class, forming a hierarchy of the inheritance with multiple level. Each subclass inherit attributes and the methods from its immediate parents class and all the ways up the chain to the topmost superclass itself. So it's a similar like that. We have the subclass, then we have the superclass, then on the top for it this is a subclass for that. So we are connecting on the top, it's always your superclass. Whatever the bottom one, we have the subclass. Now we're talking about the, if we have another class on the bottom of it, then the middle one become a superclass for the middle one. That's a concept over here itself, and we are connected with all the classes. That we call it as a multi-level inheritance in Python. This you will able to understand when we see the code. So now we are going for the code itself. We are able to understand the concept, and then you can make you understand, like this will make you understand about it, how exactly the inheritance working for the single inheritance, multi-level or multiple inheritance. Okay, so now in case of practical section itself, we can able to see this is the code for the single inheritance itself. So how exactly it's working, I'll explain you about it. So this is one of the class which we call it as a super class. I've explained you at the time of the theory also, so now I'm demonstrating you. This looks like a super class. We are considering this as a super class itself. Okay, now this is, we call it as a subclass. So when we are trying to inherit a subclass, like when we are trying to pull or utilize the attribute or the methods present of the superclass itself, that we call this as a subclass. Okay, so over here itself this is a subclass where we are inherit this a superclass itself. That was the reason behind it, we call this as a subclass and this is a superclass itself. So how exactly it's work, we simply have to define one of the object over here itself, and we are just calling this over here itself. If I'll try to pass body, what exactly is happening, it's going inside of the animal directly, as I'm using a superclass over here itself, as I can say a parameter itself over here itself to be get it passed. Now once it's reach over here itself, it get it defined self dot name equal to the name whatever the body is it, we are defining it. Okay, now what exactly is happening, we are going for the next statement, that is a print doc dot name. Then in that case, if I'll try to get it print, what exactly is going to be print over there itself. So what exactly inside of the dog, what we have a body itself. So if I try to print that dog dot name, then what exactly we get the output, we get the body. As we get that, as using a superclass, we can print that output as body itself. If I'll talk about the method which is utilized inside of the both, so there is a feature in the concept, I can say that, where I can say like we can override the method present in the superclass using a subclass method. So if we have the same method inside of the superclass and the subclass, and in that case what exactly is happening, by that way itself, whatever that content we are trying to pass, by that way the subclass can override the method of same name present in the superclass. So that is happening over here itself, and by that way itself, when you're trying to print, so it's not getting pass, it's get printed the WOF. This is having a highest privileges, and by that way we are getting the output as a WOF itself. So when we are trying to put talk.speak, then it will go to this section and that to be get it printed. Okay, that was the reason behind it. Now this is clear to you, a single inheritance itself. Now we go to the next section, that we call it as a multiple inheritance. So in case of multiple inheritance, what exactly the thing is happening, I'll try to make you understand about it. So there are four classes you can see on your screen. This we call it as a super class, This we call as a subclass as we are trying to inherit animal superclass inside of these classes. So these we call it as a subclass. Now using this is the class from where from the subclasses I try to inherit one more class, and that we call it as a dog cat. So over here itself, so dog and the cat classes, I can say that it's become a super class for this class. This is a subclass now for these two classes, and for these two subclasses this is a super class. Okay, as I define you at the time of the theory portion also, this is a super class. Always understand that this is a superclass. Now whatever the bottom where I'm just inherited, then it become a subclass itself, and in this class it's inherited from the subclasses itself. But for this class, these are the two classes become a superclass. That was the reason we can say using two superclasses itself we are trying to inherit one more class that we call it as a dog cat. So this is the concept behind a multiple, I can say there are multiple inheritance itself, where I'm just trying to use two super classes just to get inherited a single subclass itself. That's the concept behind it. It's a straightforward. We are defining one of the object over here. Select dog cat. I'm trying to get it call. When I'm trying to get it call, dog and cat. These are the two superclass for this subclass itself. So I'll just go over here itself. See, it's a self itself and wolf, and over here itself is the meow, and it will inherit from the animal itself. So we'll go over here itself, and it's a pass only. Okay. Now what exactly? This is a tweak which I just want to get it explain you about it. When we go for pet dot make sound, we can see pet dot make sound is make sound. We have the method in all the classes. Okay, in all the classes we are, instead of that a dog cat, like, which is a subclass for all these one, we have almost in in three classes itself we have the same method itself. To utilize it, what is the preference one and what actually the output is supposed to get it over here itself, I will explain you about the concept behind it. Let me open that concept 1 minute. I have noted down that also for you. 1 minute. There is a term which I just want to tell you that, so that you can able to understand later phase itself, even if anyone asks you about it. So the term we call it as a method resolution order. So this is just because of the method resolution order. If I try to run this code, so it will print the WOF instead of going with a meow. Why, you will ask me, like, there are two superclasses, why only this superclass to be having a preference? This is just because of the method resolution order. We are preferring with this subclass only, this superclass itself. Okay, so that was the reason. Whatever the thing we are trying to get a return, we are getting that output, and this is the output, get it printed on our screen. Okay, this is a concept behind it. I'm not superhuman itself, just remember everything. That was the reason. Few things I'll just make it a note for it so that it's a bit easy for you. There is false statement to be make it, it's far better. I just have to let you know about the straightforward stuff which you are able to understand why exactly this is happening. This is just because of the MRO. We are preferring one of the superclass, not both, or not the second one. Okay, now going for the third code. So this is a third code where we have three classes, and what exactly is happening, this is a superclass, this is a subclass as we are inherit. Now this is a subclass and this is a superclass. So always the bottom one is a subclass, then the top one on the top of it, it's a superclass. Now for this, the top one is a superclass and this is a subclass. We'll try to inherit from all the subclasses in a in a hierarchy level itself. So that was the reason when I try to print dog underscore German Shepherd itself, so it will go to this class which is a subclass, a bottom one. Okay, now as we know that this is inherited from the dog class itself, which is a super class for this class, then in that case it will go over here itself. Okay, now what exactly is happening, this will inherit it from here itself. So this is the generic animal section I'm getting it. Let me run this code for you so that you will able to understand very well about it. Okay, so when we are going over here itself, it will get return it, so I will get that output. But now I'll try to print doc.speak. So if I'll go to doc.speak, so there is a tweak in case of multi-level. Whatever that method we are searching for it, so when we are calling this over here itself a dog object, so in that case whatever they prefer, like first class, where we are going inside, we have to search that method locally first. So what I mean by that, we have done with this object defining, and then after that, when I'm trying to go for this speak method, which we have defined it almost in all the classes itself. So when I try to run this section, it will go to the German Shepherd itself class, and over here itself it try to search locally first. If this method is not present inside of the local, this is not a part of the local, this method is not a part of this class locally, then in that case this request will go to the next section that we call it as a dog for the super class for this subclass. Even if over here itself if it's not present, then it's go to the next super class itself, which is this subclass. We have this as a super class itself, so that is a formatting. So as we are able to identify this is a method present inside of the German Shepherd itself class, then in that case this subclass can go further with this method, and whatever the statement will try to get a return, we get that output. That was the reason when you are running this code you can get that output. Always prefer with that. Remember the tweak which I have mentioned about the multi-level, and in case of multiple inheritance itself, make sure that you will remember that thing. It will be beneficial for you when you are writing it or seeing the code or review the code about it. Okay, so thank you so much. If you like this video, please subscribe my channel, and if you want to provide some comment or feedback from your side, you can provide the comment and the feedback in the comment section of this video. I'll provide the blog, and in that the whole content which we have discussed over it with the code itself provided over there itself. Try to simulate on your system itself, and if you face any issue, let me know about it. Okay, thank you so much once again. Take care. Bye bye.